So appearing on the $1 Million Worth a Game podcast, Kevin Durant was asked to list his top 5 teammates of all time. So he listed Kyrie, Harden, Steph, Clay, paused, and then said Serge Ibaka. He was immediately challenged about forgetting someone. I'm forgetting someone, Durant asked, after being reminded of Westbrook. He said, oh, expletive, I'm tripping. Russ, yeah, I did forget about Russ. Russ would definitely be in the top 5. I'm glad you called me out on that. Stephen A., was this just an honest mistake by Kate?
No, I don't believe that. And I'm not trying to call Kevin Durant dishonest or anything like that. I'm not trying to attack the brother. I just don't believe him in this particular situation. I don't believe that you forget a Russell Westbrook when you picked Serge Ibaka. Now, if you sat up there and you said Steph, Clay, and Draymond, along with Harden and Kyrie, okay, then that, because you got those two playing with you now, then that makes sense. But to sit up there and to forget Russell Westbrook, but remember Serge Ibaka, stop it. I don't believe that for 1 second. I believe he knew exactly what he was doing. At the end of the day, let's face reality. Kevin Durant was very, very protective. Like the second to last year, he was there with Russell Westbrook. Last year he was there, he decided to leave. Obviously feeling like he couldn't win the championship without Russell Westbrook, even though he never said so publicly. Certainly a lot of his surrogates and others have said so on his behalf. Many of whom I know personally that told me the same exact thing, Stephen A. You can't get on Kevin Durant when I called it the weakest move that I ever seen by a superstar for him to go to Golden State, and people misconstrued it for trying to say that I didn't think he could play. No, I was saying he is so great. That's why he should not have joined that squad, because they were a bomb squad without him. But in the end, I was called on many occasions by many people at that particular moment in time when they were saying he wasn't going to win the championship with Russell Westbrook. You couldn't win the championship with Russell Westbrook. That's what they were saying. Okay, and then obviously when they played against each other the first time, they went at each other, and we saw them talking to each other and all of that other stuff. And KD's grown up, and he's just not going to talk about his former teammate that way. We all know that Russell is real. Russell don't have a fake bone in his body. He's going to tell you what he means if he chooses to, and he's going to mean what he says, and that's fine. But nevertheless, Kevin Durant didn't feel he could win with Russell Westbrook. And Russell Westbrook, from the stories that I was told back then, Russell Westbrook has always been a man's man. Kevin Durant came there as a relative kid, wanted to play video games and stuff like that. And, Russell Westbrook paying his own bills. And, I remember one time somebody joked that KD didn't even know where an ATM machine was, for crying out loud. I don't know whether that's true or not. But these are the kind of things that they were saying to draw the distinction between Russell Westbrook, the grown man, and KD, who was the better player, but still considered a kid. And so when you hear stories like that, and then you see how their relationship ultimately ended, there is no question in my mind. And I like that podcast he was on. I've seen those guys before, and I think they do a hell of a job. But I don't give a damn what Kevin Durant said in this particular situation. There is no way in hell that you forgot Russell Westbrook, but remember Serge Ibaka. And Kevin Durant gave it some thought. He thought about it and thought about it. And then obviously when they brought up Russell, Kevin Durant said, I appreciate you calling me out for that. You're right to call me out on that. No way Russ shouldn't have been on the list. Yeah, Russ is on the list. As a matter of fact, I put him ahead of Clay, blah, blah. Well, that's a damn lie, too, because nobody that knows basketball would put Russell Westbrook ahead of Klay Thompson. And Russell Westbrook is going to the Hall of Fame. One of the most athletic point guards to ever play the game. But Klay Thompson, one of the top 5 shooters in the history of basketball, all right? And an elite defender when healthy, and a 3-time champion. No, you're not picking Russell Westbrook ahead of Klay Thompson. So I don't think that's true either.
Hold on. We disagree about a lot with this one. Stephen A. Mm-hmm. KD was asked on the $1 Million Worth a Game podcast, name the top 5 teammates, best teammates you ever played with, 5, right? He said Kyrie, that came right out. Mm-hmm. Then he said James. And he said Steph. Mm-hmm. And he said Clay. And then he thought for a while, he said Ibaka. Right? Now, sounds suspicious. Hold up. Where's Westbrook? As soon as they brought it up, he goes, oh, you're right. Like, you're right to call me out on that. I'm glad. And basically saying, like, because if this passes and no one calls me out on it, now I got to deal with it. It was just an oversight. And then the interesting thing to me was he puts Westbrook 4th. Now, I understand why he put him ahead of Clay. Clay's never been in an MVP conversation. Westbrook has multiple seasons been in an MVP conversation. Clay can shoot in a way, Clay is one of the greatest shooters of all time. Westbrook can't shoot. But Westbrook can do a lot of things that Clay can't do. Like Westbrook at his best, if he wasn't a 5-star player, was 4.5 plus. Clay has never been considered a 5-star player, like an MVP caliber player. So I understand that. What was interesting to me, the news to me, was he put 3 dudes definitely ahead of Westbrook because he said, I put him ahead of Clay 4th. Does that mean? I'd like some clarification. Kyrie is 1, Harden's 2, Steph is 3, according to KD. It's just interesting to know how he's thinking about it. But I could see, to me, the news is Westbrook's 4th. He played with Westbrook in Westbrook's prime, right? He puts Kyrie, Harden, and Steph ahead of him. It's not news that he puts Westbrook, when he was an MVP level player, ahead of Clay. So that's 1. 2, can I buy that it was just like he just overlooked them? I can. Stephen A., I've been asked, present company excluded, right? So I've been asked in the past, who's the best host you've worked with? I'm talking about like in a 2-man situation or a 2-person situation where I was the analyst and the other person was the host. And at different times, I might answer Bob Costas, Jim Lampley, or Brian Kenny, right? And they're all great. But at different times, depending how I'm thinking about it, I just may forget to put one of their names on the list, even if I'm ranking them, right? Or if someone said, great hosts at ESPN who I haven't worked with professionally on a show other than doing segments, I might say Mike Greenberg. That doesn't mean I don't think there are other guys there. It just means that's what comes to mind in that moment. So when KD got called out on it, I know why you're saying it, Stephen A., because he's thinking about it, and then says, Ibaka, what, you overlooked Westbrook? It's possible. It can happen. And judging by his reaction when they called him on it, the way he cleaned it up, I believe it was just an oversight. The news to me was 4th. He puts Westbrook 4th. He's saying definitively, Kyrie, Harden, and Steph better players.
Can Kyrie and Harden get to the finals without having KD?
No. I've said it on many occasions. I'll say it again. Start off the show saying it. I'll say it again. It's not going to happen because of the way the Philadelphia 76ers look and the way the Milwaukee Bucks look. Harden and Kyrie are great. Kyrie is box office as far as I'm concerned. He's the number 1 attraction for me. He's my favorite player to watch this year. He's been an absolute showstopper. He's just nasty, no question. But come playoff time, when you're preparing for a best 4 out of 7, I'm thinking along the lines of the size and the defensive prowess that both Philadelphia and Milwaukee bring to the table. And I'm saying that the X factor in it all will be KD because neither team has any answer for Kevin Durant, like no one else in the NBA has an answer for Kevin Durant. He's simply that lethal. And I think that with him on the court, the Brooklyn Nets obviously go to the finals and should be favorites to win the chip. Without him, I don't think they get out of the East. I just look at it, and even though I like what they've been doing, Joe Harris has been doing, Landry Shamet dropped 30 the other day. I like what he's been doing. I'm just looking at them collectively, and I'm saying it still comes down to the absence of Kevin Durant. If you don't have him, you don't have a replacement for him. And that's why I don't believe Philadelphia or Milwaukee, the Brooklyn Nets would not get by both of them. I just don't see it.
I might not make them the favorites, but I can't say they can't win without KD because I saw them win a lot without KD. Stephen A., they went from being a team before the Harden trade, I thought, not enough. Like KD and Kyrie, I thought, what you're saying about these other teams in the East, maybe they could do it, but I might like the depth of the other teams a little bit more. Once they got Harden, they had no KD. It's like they couldn't lose. They basically got to the best record in the East without KD, with just Harden and Kyrie, and sometimes it was just James Harden. Even when they go to the West Coast and play the Blazers and the Jazz. No, and look, are they going to have matchup problems with Embiid? Well, who's not? But you're still counting by 2s with Embiid for the most part. If he's getting 3, he can shoot the 3, but given the number of 3s he's taking, he's getting 3 the hard way. He's not bombing from 3. So, yeah, they would still have chances in that matchup. Absolutely, especially with Joe Harris, who's actually the best shooter on the team. And they have bigs who can play, like big bodies who can play. Of course, not a match for Embiid, but Claxton and Blake and guys. They have DeAndre. They have some bodies they can throw at him. Sure. Now, what you're saying is with KD, they win. No doubt. If everyone's healthy on the Nets, including KD, ain't no one stopping them, including the Lakers, given the way they improved on defense and the way I saw Harden and Kyrie dominate the league without KD. So you add KD, I'm with you. But even without KD, they're one of the front runners in the division. Them, the Bucks, and the Sixers. It's going to be one of those three teams, most likely. Yeah, they can do it without him.
Okay. We shall see. Best 4-7. They get an opportunity to prepare for you. We've watched Miami beat them. We beat Milwaukee. We talked about bubble play, but Miami's perimeter shooting basically sealed the deal. And we know that that Kyrie and James Harden are capable of doing that. But I just think that when you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, according to Joel Embiid, and you'll see some of my interview with him tonight on SportsCenter with Stephen A. leading into the game tonight.
Wait, where is it? Where is it, Stephen A? Where's the interview?
On ESPN. It'll be on ESPN tonight on my pregame show, SportsCenter with Stephen A. at 7 o'clock. And then tomorrow the interview will air in its entirety on Stephen A.'s World on ESPN+. But as he mentions, we don't have one Defensive Player of the Year candidate. We got two, in me and Ben Simmons. So, I mean, when I think about it from that perspective, and I think about how formidable Joel Embiid has been with the shooters that he's been surrounded with the way that Doc Rivers and his staff have Tobias Harris and Seth Curry and others playing, I just think it's too much of an ask for Brooklyn to come out of the Eastern Conference without KD. And I'm going to reiterate, I think Julius Randle right now, the way that he has been balling with the New York Knicks, I think that he's an MVP candidate, even though not a top 2 one. And I think that when you look at Tom Thibodeau, I think he's a coach of the year. And if the Knicks make the playoffs and the Nets don't make the finals, the New York Knicks will be considered a success story, and the Brooklyn Nets will be considered a failure.
This is what I have to say about that, Stephen A. I saw James Harden take a Daryl Morey put-together team and a Mike D'Antoni coached team. I saw James Harden take a way undermanned team, no Chris Paul, to 7 games against KD, Steph, Clay, Dre, everybody. And without Chris Paul, they still had a chance to win the game. They had an historically bad shooting night.
That's not accurate. Chris Paul got hurt. Chris Paul got hurt in Game 5.
Yeah.
Okay? They lost Game 6 and then lost Game 7.
Right, but I'm talking about Game 7.
But Chris Paul was there.
Yeah, I understand. No, I get it. But I'm saying he played without Chris Paul, had an all-time bad shooting night, Harden and the team. At one point was 0 for 27 from 3. 0 for 27, lost by single digits to that Warriors team. No one came close to sniffing that Warriors team except that Houston team that almost beat them. Now, I saw Harden do that, right? Okay, you mean to tell me Harden with Kyrie Irving, if those guys can stay healthy on this team with a shooter like Joe Harris, Shamet, they have guys, has no shot against these Eastern Conference teams? I don't see any Warriors in the East.
I didn't say no shot. I said I'm not picking them to come out of the East.
Can they win? I think they certainly can win. And I think this is what it's going to come down to if there's no KD. The same thing I've been harping on the whole time. Can James Harden stay James Harden in the playoffs when it matters most? Stephen A., you might be right. Maybe they can't win. But if they really can't win, it's because Harden didn't rise to the occasion. He plays like he played in the regular season, they can definitely win.
I've been told I can have an afro and a hairline that'll move 2 feet forward if I went to